Okay, before we start on card 2, I wanted to show you how great the liquid glass turned out for card number 1. I don't know if that's catching the light, but smooth as can be, and the cute little bow looks wonderful. So we're gonna do that again for this one. So here's our next card. Card number 2, let's get going on that. And the only prep we have is just to stamp this jar, and we're not going to stamp the red on it this time, so just the black. So grab that stamp and your archival black or whatever black you have, and we'll get that on there. Right down the middle. Super easy. This one should go pretty fast. Now I noticed on the last one that we were supposed to go ahead and do a little pen work on that, but I'm gonna honestly say it doesn't need it. So on this one, you were supposed to do like little dashes under this, but this looks so cute without it. I don't think we need to, but we will be doing a little dash work on this one. So we're gonna do a little prep on that. And grab your black pen. Another thing that would look super cute on this is if you went and did that border like we did on the last one and just did that all the way around, but I understand that's a little tricky. So instead, just make some dashes. I'm not a fan of a lot of the pen work, but I see why they want to do it. You know, it adds in some stuff. What I would have done on this is I would have dry embossed with the dry embossing tool in my trimmer, and I would have just made nice little white embossed lines instead. But we'll go ahead with the pen instead. I don't know why they didn't put this in the prep step. So much easier to do before you get all the stamping and stuff on there. So there we go, almost done. And just like that. Okay, so those 2 steps are done. So prepare piece as shown above. We already did attach 2A. 2A is this big bird floral piece. The back looks cute too. Remember, you are not limited to how I'm showing you or how Close to My Heart shows you. You can do it any way you want. If you like that red polka dot better, go for it. Okay, this I cut just a little small. So I'm gonna center it a little bit more. So even if there's a white edge, it shouldn't be showing too much. Other thing you could do with that, well, I'm actually a little crooked here. Another thing you could do that is just to trim it. Let's see if that's a little better. Yeah, it's not great. Another thing is to distress it. So if you have too much of a white edge, I'm not gonna worry about it, but that's another thing you could do. You could take that, because this is black background, and just distress that. And if it's too white over here, you can always trim it down just a tiny, tiny bit. But I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, so next up is this, and this is gonna go, it looks like a 1/2 inch from the top, which I assume is gonna mean a 1/2 inch from the bottom too. So I'll get my ruler down and try to hit that right spot. And then that's probably gonna be 1/2 inch in from the sides. Just like that. And then we might have to tuck a little bit, or we can trim. So you have the 2 options. Look at, I smeared. Ugh. Not the best marker to use on that. All right, so this goes centered between that. Instead of tucking, I'm just going to trim it off of there. So that makes it easy. So just put it centered, which looks like a 1/2 inch in. And I'm gonna flip this over and just trim that. Easy peasy. That. And like that. Okay. Now you see, I think that white is way too much, you know, which is why I change it on the second card. I've got a little glue on my piece there, or it's probably that smeared marker, whatever. Okay, so next up looks like the red polka dot piece. Now, if I was doing this, I would have probably attached that first, so let me see how they did that. Yeah, they probably did this first, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I guess that was supposed to be, we were supposed to make this piece first. I'm gonna just do it right on here. So just about 1 inch up, it says to put it. And we're gonna put the shimmer trim over it. So we're gonna have to cut that pretty accurately since we're not doing this off the card base. So I'm going to get that measurement. Because see, if you didn't cut accurately, then you could have trimmed it easily if I'd done this piece off there first. So if you haven't done this yet, you know, go ahead and put this green piece together first. So it looks like that is 3 1/4 and maybe just a tiny touch less than 3 1/4. Just because of my cutting. So let me put this in here, just a touch less. And we'll see if it measures up. And that's gonna kind of overlap over it because this piece really is actually looks a lot thinner. So I think they've just overlapped this. And just like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here about halfway up on that red and right at the edge of the piece. Yep, that got pretty close, pretty close. Okay, and once that's on, 2D, attach prepared jar accent with 3D foam tape, and then you put all the accents underneath it. So we're gonna do the accents first again. And this time I think I'm gonna have you stamp some of the berries first. Just because I think they're a little hard to stamp once you've put those embellishments down. So I'm just gonna kind of put them here, 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 and here. And some of them will show through and some of them may not, but I think that'll work pretty good. And the first accent down, let's do the gray piece there. Get your glue. Put a fairly good amount on it. And remember, we just want the ends to kind of point together so you can go off slightly, but still kind of centering where that jar is gonna go. Okay, and then let's do the white piece next. That one. So I'm still kind of aiming for the stems to be together, but I'm spreading them out a little bit more than I did on that very first card. So I'm gonna tip this over this way. Just want it, you know, to be under the jar. And then this one next. And that one doesn't have a lot of space to put glue, I'll tell you. So kind of right up the middle of the stems is where I've been doing it. And then just tip that over that other piece. I'm just gonna set that there. And then while we get the glue on this is the last piece here. And I'm just gonna try to put the glue on where the little buds are, or any space I can find. Because this is delicate, it actually is gonna need a little more glue because it doesn't lie very flat. All right, let's see what we can do here. And that'll kind of just overlap in the middle. I'm gonna cover up some of that ugly white. All right. And you still see our berries good enough. All right, let's get a good amount. Remember, well, this one we're not gonna actually, oh, and I forgot, we got a stamp Merry Christmas in the middle too. Totally missed that part. Did I do that on the first one was fine. Yeah, that didn't have the Merry Christmas on. It was just the jar, right? Make sure I didn't do that wrong. Yeah, that was just the jar, but we do need a Merry Christmas on this. So go back to your stamp set, pull off that Merry Christmas. We'll remember to prep this better on the second one. And that's just gonna be in black also. It's not black. There we go. Glad I saw that. Put that right in the middle. Press down, let it sink in. Okay, now let's put a lot of pop dots on the back. Well, it doesn't matter on this one because we won't actually be doing the liquid glass unless you want to. So if you want to on this one, you know, just because I'm making a simple version and the fancier version does not mean that you can't make them all the fancy version. So if you do decide to do that, go ahead and really saturate this with a lot of the pop dots. But since I'm not going to on this one, this will be my example card. I'll just put 3. But if you're gonna liquid glasses, do way more. Fill that thing. All right. Pull this down. And then this is just gonna go where it looks like it's holding all of those little weeds. Flora, what do they call it on here? The sprig accents, and then the bow. And then we're just gonna move right on to card 2 after this. So get this on, hard to pick up. And just put your bow in the middle. Hold that down. Adorable card. Card 2 will be a little bit fancier. So let's go and do the prep steps. You're gonna need that green. And you're going to need your jar. So let's ink first. So just do the dashes all the way around the green. Remember, these dashes don't have to be even. It's hand done. It's not meant to look perfect. If you wanted it perfect, you could pull in a ruler, which I've done on occasion. But it's still then hard to get the dashes exactly even. But I have at least done them a little bit straighter on the ruler. Just depends on how important it is to you. That would be more likely something I would do on a layout. You know, cards, let's be honest, they don't always get saved. A lot of times they get thrown away, so I'm not as perfect on cards. All right. Right to the end there, and let's do some stamping. We're gonna do that Merry Christmas this time too. So since I have the Merry Christmas on, I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. Right in the middle of the jar. Press down, let it sink in. These were all seasoned, so I didn't have to really season any of these. Get your jar. Oops, I have a hitchhiker. All right. And then just put the jar around the Merry Christmas. All right. Well, that worked pretty good. I'm gonna try to be careful with this because obviously the ink on the pen that I use, which is not my normal close to my heart pen, is a little wet. So I'm gonna try to be a little more careful with that this time. All right, let's start building this card. First up is the floral paper with the birds. And then I had to do something a little bit different. Now you are going to end up with the cutting things, you'll end up with a couple extra stuff because we're switching some things out. No big deal. I cut this one too short too. Look at that. All right. Now, instead of doing the little short pieces, I said go ahead and do a whole piece here. I think it lies down smoother than putting these little short pieces. So I had you cut a whole long piece here. And then that's gonna go in the center, which is about, it looks like maybe an inch in on both sides. Let me give you an accurate measurement there. Yep, an inch in on both sides. And then let's go to our slightly wet green piece. And that is going 1/2 inch in from the sides, 1/2 inch from the bottom. Try not to get my smeary fingers on it. Right about there. Not perfect, but close enough. All right, and then let's go back and do our little cranberries. Well, I suppose next is, and I did that again, you guys. Oh my gosh, I put that down before I finished it. Oh, let's go a little bit out of order. I'm gonna do the cranberries. And I did, you know, I should have left this off. Okay. Not that big of a deal. Let's get the red piece. So you can do this all off if, you know, you can pay better attention than me. So this was gonna be, this is 1 inch from the bottom of the green. As long as they're cut right, it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to cut that term again. What did I say that was? Just a little less than 3 1/4. Is that what I said? I better measure. Do a peek here. Yep, a little bit less than 3 1/4. Just a touch. Or it might be 3 1/4 exactly. It depends on how you cut yours. It's so hard to be, you know, absolute correct every time. So pull that off. And halfway up. Again, straight across. Hey, looks good. All right, now let's put our little sprig pieces back on gray first. Little dots of glue. And gonna lay it across here. Let me see. Yeah, maybe about there. Let some of those cranberries through. And then the, what did I say that was called? French vanilla piece. All right. That goes this way, but keep that stem in that area right there because we want it to fit in that jar, right? It's got to look like it fits in the jar. Put the ink pad on it while I glue. Whoop, it's trying to come up. Press that all down. This one doesn't want to stay. This one right here is very stubborn. Put a little more glue. gonna just set that down for a minute while I get this one done. Right up the center. Use a good amount. And that'll be in the middle. I'm going to set that back down. And then this one, lots of glue. Because that's all pressed away from the paper. And we want it to stick. And this will be pretty glittery. Okay, while we're letting that sit, let's go back to the jar and put tons of, wish I had my non-stick scissors. Where are they? Okay. Tons of foam tape on this. Right to the edge. And the purpose of this, again, is to make that liquid glass stay smooth once it dries. So I'm gonna really fill this up. And a skinny one over here. There. So you guys playing Christmas music yet? I know somebody that won't play it until Christmas Day. But I usually feel around Thanksgiving is a good time. Now my son's girlfriend, she was already playing it back in early November. She's so adorable. I lucked out with that one. Hope it all works out. My son is saving for a ring. So I may have some grandchildren. Didn't used to matter to me, but lately I'm just seeing that that's very important to have families. All right, so let's put this up here so they all look like they're popping out of that jar. And I'm gonna save my little bow after I put the liquid glass on. Am I missing anything? I think we're good. So let's do that liquid glass again, like we did for the first one. Again, gonna start at the top and just make a border. There is a word for this too. Trying to think what it is, because I made Christmas cookies one year and I thought I really want to make these right. And there is a word for the outline of frosting that you put, and you put a little bit thicker frosting that's not thinned out so much on the outside to really hold it in, and I cannot think, but there is a word for it. Some kind of blocking word. A dam, maybe? I don't know. If anybody knows, or cookie makers out there and have done some professional frosting type things, let me know if you know the word for that when you put the frosting on the outside to hold the more liquidy frosting inside. Oh, I love those kind of Christmas cookies. That year, I made big snowflakes, and I got on Pinterest and found what was supposed to be the best frosting, and they were so good. So keeping that pressure steady and filling in all the little holes, and then just don't go overboard. Once you've got it filled in, be done. And then I'm gonna throw this bow on top. And hopefully it will release from the finger. Okay, we're done with card 2. So there was card 1 and 2 right there.